So how does one of the most controversial chapters compare to the anime?
Shut up and sit down.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Reviews, and heavy spoilers for episode 83. The hair on the running guy is a little bit different in the anime. You get a blur filter on the dead dude's face on the ground. The anime doesn't use this dramatic perspective of the gun from the manga. A few more grass and bushes in the anime. The camera is slightly tilted in the anime. Plus, I think the manga has a few more bruises on Levi's face, but those bruises do appear a lot more in the close-up shot in the anime and the manga. You see more of Hanji's body in the anime, plus her lips looks like she's pouting in the anime. The anime has a more wide shot versus the tight panel shot. You see more of Levi's bed in the anime version. You don't see Hanji building the wagon in the past realm versus the anime where she puts her hand on her head. Hanji's face looks a lot more shocked in the anime versus the manga, plus her face is flipped around. This shot's also flipped around with Levi getting up from his bed. Plus the manga shows Hanji building the wagon and she's super far away from Levi, but in the anime she's not doing anything at all. Levi does look a little bit worn out in the anime version. The manga shows Hanji looking at Levi's fingers, but in the anime it's just a close-up shot of Levi and his fingers. Despite the more close-up shot of the anime, this shot is more or less the same from manga to anime. Hanji is standing a little bit further away from Levi in the manga, but in the anime they're quite close together, plus you see more smoke coming from Peak's car titan. Manga seems to be looking forward in the anime, but in the manga he's looking a little bit upwards. Peak's face is completely redesigned from manga to anime. I think they made her eyes a lot bigger and more cute looking in the anime version. The wagon is a lot bigger in the anime version with Levi sitting on it. You see Peak on top of the cart titan in the anime, but in the manga you just have a close-up shot of her face. Hanji looks a lot more serious in the anime version. Mikasa's eyes look a lot more vacant in the manga, but in the anime she does seem to have a lot more emotion going on. You don't see the extra two guys in the same room as Jean sleeping, you just have a solo shot of Jean in the anime. You get a panning shot of Annie and Hitch in the bedroom. You don't see the cup or extra bread by Reiner's bedside, but you do see 2 apples instead. In the anime version, Falco looks more like a 15-year-old in the manga, but in the anime he looks more or less like his age. Connie's face is drawn a lot smaller in the manga version. Falco seems to be tilting his head to the right, but in the manga he seems to be leaning his head against the tree. You get a super high angle shot of Connie and Falco in the tree scenes in the anime version. Looks like a few buildings are missing in the anime. MAPPA changed the scene around of Falco talking about Rakigo Village. Connie is standing in front of Falco, but in the manga he's standing behind him. I think Falco is a lot more shocked and surprised in the manga versus the anime. Slight different angle change of Connie revealing the tie to Falco. You see the other side of the Titan's face in the anime more versus the manga. You get a front view shot of Connie and Falco in the anime versus the side low angle shots of them in the manga. Both anime and manga have completely flipped this shot around in reverse, but you see a lot more of the background scenery in the anime. Beautiful. I did prefer this shot in the manga with Connie and Falco looking at one another, but in the anime they just have them to the side. Gabby seems to be leading the charge in the manga more than the anime. Armin's manga counterpart does look a little bit more frantic. Connie's eyes are super wide in the anime version. You see more of Connie's mom titan in the anime. This Gabby scene looks absolutely phenomenal in the anime. Owen's face is a lot more exaggerated in the anime versus the manga. You see a lot more of Armin's face in the anime. This shot is flipped around with Gabby looking at Armin, but she's just a little bit more upset and frantic in the manga. MAPPA added extra skin texture to the Connie mom titan, but you don't see the Connie mom titan's mouth in the anime versus the manga. Connie's face is so much more exaggerated in the manga, but I think Armin's face in both anime and manga look more or less the same. It does convey slightly different emotions. He looks a little bit more angry in the anime, but in the manga he looks a lot more sad. But this shot of Armin jumping into the Connie mom titan look more or less the same. Falco looks a lot more upset and distraught by the news that Gabby's telling him in the manga versus the anime. This shot in the anime of Armin and Connie looking at Falco and Gabby is completely flipped around. The Connie mom titan is super far away in the manga, but in the anime she's quite up close. Yeah, both Gabby and Falco look extra distraught in the manga version. You see more of the hospital room in the anime version. The manga version shows that Louise has a little bit of that twinkle in her eye, but in the anime she looks absolutely knackered, mate. Aaron is a little bit more scary in the manga version. Mikasa looks a little bit mad, but her manga self, she looks super vacant. Louise looks super tired in the anime version. Mikasa's head is slightly tilted downwards in the anime versus the manga. The anime does not show that super close-up shot of Mikasa's legs as she's walking out of the room. There's a few more Jaegerist recruits down in the crowd in the anime version. You see more of the Jaegerists in the crowd with Mikasa and this other rando at the back in the anime. The anime make it a lot more obvious that Jean is looking directly at Mikasa. You see more of the 4 characters' designs a lot more in the anime. The manga has a high angle shot of the 4 guys eating down with Annie on the left. The manga shows more crumbs and sweat on Annie's face. You see more of Armin and Gabby's reactions in the anime version, but you don't get Annie or Armin's reaction to Connie laughing. You get a high angle shot of Hitch reading the letter from Annie. You see more of the pie and the cups and the bench. The castle has a lot more damage in the anime. You see a lot more Jaegerists standing behind Jean and Flock in the anime version. You get a panel shot of Yelena and Flock in the anime. The Jaegerists look a lot more mad at Yelena in the anime, and you see more of them. You do not see Yelena's face at all in the anime version. You actually see an extra Jaegerist in the background in the anime versus the manga, where it's just Onyankopon and Flock. I much prefer MAPPA's much more exaggerated face of Onyankopon. I think the anime did this scene justice with its expression and desperation. You actually do see that they are standing behind a castle in the anime, but in the manga they're standing behind a white background. You see a few Jaegerists' heads popping up from behind Jean and Flock. Flock looks a lot more startled in the anime version, and you see more Jaegerists behind them in the anime. You see a lot more of that cart in mouth in the manga version. Flock looks a lot more freaked out in the anime version. It looks like the anime flipped the scene around with Mikasa on the right and Connie on the left versus Mikasa on the left and Connie in the right in the manga. You get a front view high angle shot of the alliance in the manga version. You see a lot more of the castle in the manga version. The scene of the mysterious figure watching them is flipped around in the anime. You do not see Annie in view in the anime version. The camera is a little bit more zoomed in the anime versus the manga. Onyankopon is actually in view in the anime, but in the manga it's just Jean all alone. Yelena's eyes are a lot more startled in the anime version. Maga's eyes are a lot wider and he's glaring a lot more menacingly at Yelena. The manga seems to have the more impact of Reiner being kicked in the face. You see more of Annie in view as Reiner's looking up at her. Annie seems to be looking more towards the right, but in the anime she looks straight ahead. Reiner is a lot more startled in the manga version, with more sweat dripping down his face. The scene of Connie's flipped around and he looks a lot more serious and mad at Reiner in the manga version. And this pretty infamous shot that the manga community have titled Cringe Vengeance is a lot more dramatic and exciting in the anime version. I think the character designs look a lot better in the anime as well, and adding Reiner as well in the foreground makes the scene look a lot more impactful. But that's about it. Tell me in the comments down below what you guys thought of this comparison. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Which version did you prefer, the manga version or the anime version? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more Attack on Titan reactions, reviews, comparisons, breakdowns, rankings and more. But thank you for watching. As always, a Bold Review signing out.